Today on Investigate TV Plus, millions of vehicles that pose serious safety risk are on the road right now. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. It's a legal loophole that keeps some car buyers from finding out before it's too late.
I would have never bought it. I wouldn't have even looked twice at it.
What advocates are working to change and how you can be your own investigator to keep your family safe on the road.
Plus, robocalls, a real pain in the...
It's a privacy invasion, and if they can access that, what else can they access about me?
How the feds are dialing in on some of the biggest scam operations and how you can help.
And this woman's heart issues had doctors stumped.
I would almost pass out.
How a piece of tech you probably own right now helped save her life. In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
Across the country, more than 2.5 million vehicles have serious unrepaired safety recalls.
Yeah, the risks are severe. Some vehicles can catch fire, others lose control on the road. All of them have the potential to injure or kill people.
And those very cars can be sold to you without the recall being fixed if you buy it used.
Yeah, it's a loophole some attorneys say needs to close. Investigative reporter Kristen Crowley shows us why the government isn't doing anything about it and how you can make sure you're protected.
The pictures and videos are jaw-dropping.
Oh my God! Oh.
Cars spontaneously catching fire.
Ow!
Airbags shooting shrapnel into people's faces. Those are just some examples of what can happen when a safety recall goes unrepaired.
Anytime you go to turn, it's like a pulling kind of feeling.
Jatonia Garcia experienced the danger firsthand.
I saw this car and I said, that looks like a nice car on the lot.
Jatonia says she wanted a used car to save money. On the outside, this Cadillac SRX looked like the perfect vehicle to her. But on the inside was a problem she had no idea existed.
I felt the car do a little something. I kept telling my boyfriend, like, something, you didn't feel that? Something's weird with the tires. It was like sway across the road.
Then one day, while driving through Texas, that pulling nearly led to catastrophe.
I went to turn the vehicle. It kind of like did the shaking swivel on me stuff, and then we hit contact, and that's all I really remember as far as the accident goes. It could have killed the person and as well as myself.
At first, Jatonia said she was relieved the crash wasn't serious, but that relief was short-lived, and she said it turned to anger when she found out her SUV was part of a recall. And not just any recall, a serious safety recall. So serious, it comes with an urgent warning not to drive it. A loose tow link could cause the vehicle to sway, risking a crash. What's worse, Jatonia says, is she bought the car from the used dealership in January of 2022. That urgent do not drive recall was announced in June of 2021.
I would have never bought it. I wouldn't have even looked twice at it.
If Jatonia had bought the car new, federal law would have prevented the dealership from selling it with an unrepaired safety recall. But there's no federal law banning that sale for used cars.
Across the country, dealers are selling cars with unperformed, federally required safety recalls, used cars. It's being done across the country, all over the place.
Bernard Brown is a consumer protection attorney and a staunch critic of what he says is a lack of laws prohibiting the sale of used cars with federal safety recalls.
It seems odd that there is this requirement for new cars, but not for used cars.
I agree with you. It's not just odd, it's really distressing.
Are there people who are buying these vehicles with open federal safety recalls that are dying because of it?
Yes.
While the federal government keeps track of deaths tied to recalls, like the 19 fatalities with Takata airbags, it does not track whether the car was purchased new or used. But Brown says with millions of problem cars out there, consumers are bound to buy them used and get injured or killed.
Would a federal law on this issue save lives?
Unquestionably.
But that's easier said than done. Some congressional lawmakers have proposed such a law, one as recently as 2021. It stalled in committee. Groups like the National Automobile Dealers Association oppose such legislation. We wanted to interview them about their stance, but they declined. The group instead pointed us to their website, which states a federal law would hurt consumers because it would devalue their trade-ins and cripple the used vehicle market. It argues there would be little impact on safety. Brown says that stance infuriates him.
Are you really saying your dealers should have a car and not fix a safety recall before they sell it? Try that one on me again. Say it slow. Say it slowly so everybody can follow you. Safety recall. Oh no, we don't need to fix that.
We wanted to find out just how common is it for used cars to be for sale with these open safety recalls. So here's an example. This is a website that lists cars for sale across the country. Most list the vehicle's VIN number. I can just take that number and plug it into the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration's website to see if there are any unrepaired recalls. On this page alone of 20 vehicles, 6 of them, that's 30%, had open safety recalls, including this recall, warning of an urgent fire risk. We even found this example of a vehicle with a serious safety recall already sold. Even though there is no federal law, people can sue used car dealerships if they're injured or if someone's killed as a result of the unrepaired recall. But Brown says it's uncommon.
People buying used cars don't have lots of money to do these battles. I would know about them if there were suits about this. There are practically none.
So people can bring suits, they just don't.
That's right.
The wreck was hit right here.
Jatonia still hopes for accountability, and she is suing. The recall on her vehicle and damage from the crash are fixed, but her faith she's driving a car that's safe is broken.
It should be mandatory, and if not, I think they should have some type of consequences, because otherwise the consequences falls on the buyer.
As Kristen just mentioned, you can be your own investigator and check whether your vehicle has any unrepaired recalls. Just head to nhtsa.gov/vehicle. You just need the VIN or vehicle identification number.
Still ahead, this woman's random racing heartbeat had her concerned.
I would just be physically exhausted and pretty much wiped out for the rest of the day.
But doctors couldn't diagnose it. We'll show you the tech that may have saved her life.
Plus, robocalls so annoying they have people taking matters into their own hands.
I'm actually contributing information that hopefully will help them to either track down or actually, have some sort of a judgment laid against these people.
How you can join the fight against the never-ending nuisance.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime, streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download.
There's a good chance you've picked up your phone just to hear one of these.
We will be suspending your Social Security number because we found some suspicious activities on your Social Security.
This is an apology call from your electric utility.
A robocall.
They're very annoying.
Annoying and expensive if you happen to fall victim. Truecaller, a company that tracks spam calls, says robocall scams cost the average victim more than $500.
It's an invasion of privacy, really. And I don't like the fact that they have my number.
According to the industry traceback group, 65% of robocalls originate overseas.
Which is why the federal government launched a new way to target scammers.
Reporter Jen Picciano explains how you can help stop these scams.
Robocalls and the scammers behind them pester and victimize nearly every cell phone user out there, even when you block them or are on the Do Not Call registry.
And it didn't matter, that same number would come back. maybe days later or a week later, but it would come back in.
For people like Loretta Planovsky, it went beyond being a nuisance.
It's a privacy invasion, and if they can access that, what else can they access about me?
Paul Bender was getting 5 to 10 a day, so he started using an app called Caller HQ to help document and report the robocalls.
If you get a spam text message or a spam phone call, you can then forward it to the law firm behind this.
The firm uses the data to build class action lawsuits against offenders like call centers.
I'm actually contributing information that hopefully will help them to either track down or actually, have some sort of a judgment laid against these people.
He does it for every robocall he gets now.
It feels like you're actually doing something rather than just being pestered by these phone calls.
Planovsky saw far fewer robocalls once she reported them to the BBB. While reporting individual calls does help, the FTC's Project Point of No Entry, or PONY, is preventing thousands of robocalls from ever getting into the U.S. and through to your cell phone by going after the providers who are allowing the flow of illegal robocalls into the country. Here's how it works. The Federal Communications Commission has appointed the Industry Traceback Group as the official traceback entity. When you report a robocall to your provider or the FTC, ITG gets the info and is able to see where the call comes from. They're usually VoIP or internet calls.
It's easier now to determine where these robocalls are coming from, where in the past it would take us months to do that.
Phil DiBonate with the Cleveland FTC office says the government is using the data collected from the ITG to identify the biggest offenders and sending those domestic providers who are letting these calls into the country a cease and desist letter, citing the telemarketing sales rule and a potential fine of $50,000 per call. Project Pony has some teeth, and the industry is taking notice. Since May of 2022, they've sent letters to 24 targets. All but 2 have significantly decreased or stopped the robocalls altogether. Data from the ITG shows an 80% decrease of tracebacks from more than 1,000 to less than 200.
It's important to note that a traceback is a snapshot of an illegal robocalling campaign.
A fraction of what's actually going out.
And a campaign can be millions of calls, right? So it's a very significant decrease in terms of the tracebacks and the flow of bad traffic into the country.
Here's how you can help the FTC in their efforts to stop these calls. You want to make sure that you report the calls and the number that the scammers used. Also, save the recording if the robocall left a voicemail. And tell your provider that these calls are getting through to your phone number. All of this will help build a case against these bad apples.
It's great. We got to do something to stop it. And it's not like I'm ancient, but I'm getting older. And I know that they target a certain age population.
Anti-robocallers Planovsky and Bender are pleased to hear they're not fighting this fight alone.
I think it's awesome. I mean, if they can knock out the entryway in, because I know a lot of these calls do come from overseas, that can be very effective.
3 months after the FTC launched Project Point of No Entry, it took on so-called consent farms. Here's how the FTC says they work. They often lure you to a website to promise a benefit. Then the FTC says consent farms harvest your personal information in exchange for that deal or prize. As soon as you hit the accept button, these websites sell your information to robocallers and other telemarketers. In July 2023, the FTC identified companies accused of major illegal consent farm operations. The companies face millions of dollars in fines and penalties.
Still ahead on Investigate TV Plus, a museum for a tool as old as time.
How do you know this is a hammer and not a rock?
So there's actually very little difference because original hammers are rocks, basically.
How the hammer nailed down its permanent place in history.
Plus, this woman credits her smartwatch with saving her life.
First day that I could order one, I ordered one.
How tech helped doctors diagnose her dangerous medical condition.
Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to Investigate TV Plus on all social media platforms.
smartwatches have come a long way since they first rolled out in the early 2010s.
When it debuted in September of 2014, the first Apple Watch didn't even have a GPS. Today's smartwatches are outfitted with all kinds of features to help us not only find our way, but also monitor our health.
A Kentucky woman says her smartwatch ended up diagnosing a heart issue she'd been dealing with for years. Reporter Garrett Weimer shows us how.
Scroll through, find the one that says ECG.
When Karen Combs bought a new Apple Watch last fall,
First day that I could order one, I ordered one.
it wasn't just for the upgrade.
Hold your finger for 30 seconds on the stem of the watch.
The electrocardiogram was a must-have feature.
Very easy, very painless. It's a simple procedure.
And an important one.
Normal sinus rhythm. I would almost pass out.
For the past 3 years, Combs has experienced sporadic episodes of a racing heartbeat.
That would last for about half an hour, and then I would just be physically exhausted and pretty much wiped out for the rest of the day.
Her cardiologist had been trying but unable to capture them, even with repeated ECGs in the doctor's office and entire months of using heart monitors at home.
It was 188 beats per minute.
Only after Combs got her new Apple Watch was she finally able to capture a recording and share it with her doctors.
She brought it to the office, and I was able to tell her, yeah, this is definitely SVT.
Dr. Youssef Durat used the readout from Combs' watch to diagnose her with a heart arrhythmia. That step since has allowed doctors to perform a procedure to correct it. But this isn't the only time. Dr. Durat says that same feature helped them diagnose a patient who ran the test on their own and at home. And it won't be the last.
I see a lot for this technology to be used, and I think we're just at the first few steps. I mean, we're just opening the door, and I think there's more to come with further improving this technology for the good of patients.
The ECG app on Apple Watch allows you to export a PDF of the readout so you can share it with the doctor. That means it also has practical applications for telehealth or other situations where patients can't easily get to a doctor in person.
But you can definitely feel the difference, can't you?
Since her procedure, Combs says she's not had any more episodes of her heart racing. Without her Apple Watch, she's not sure whether she could say the same.
I probably would still be going through that process of, trying to nail it down through a hospital or a heart monitor.
Instead, she's back to doing the things she loves. A big relief, thanks to a small accessory she wears every day.
I'm just thankful that something as simple as my Apple Watch helped me make that diagnosis.
Personal experience, I'm going to tell you this works. I have a Fitbit.
Okay.
It caught atrial fibrillation, AFib.
Really?
I had it. I didn't know. It caught it. I got it fixed. So this stuff works.
I need to get one of those. I'm not wearing an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, but now that I see what it can do for you, maybe it's not a bad idea to get it.
I have a bunch of people I know who have gotten it because of that, and one or two had caught something too.
I'm glad it did.
Yes, me too, yes. All right, there are a number of smartwatches on the market with ECG reading capabilities. The AFib Institute lists these: the Apple Watch starting with Series 4, the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5, the Fitbit Sense and Fitbit Charge series watches, and the Google Pixel Watch.
Still ahead on Investigate TV Plus, it's hammer time.
I like the fact that there's just so many different kinds of hammers. Who would have thought?
How hammers of all shapes and sizes ended up in this modest museum.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes. This next story is about a tool you most likely have in your home, the humble hammer.
Researchers at Stony Brook University recently discovered the earliest known hammers. They look more like rocks, but the hand-chipped tools are more than 3 million years old.
The hammer's history has a permanent place in Alaska. Reporter Lauren Maxwell takes us to the world's first hammer museum.
Housed in a historic building that is more than 100 years old, the museum features a collection of more than 2,000 hammers. They line the walls and even the ceiling. Big hammers, tiny hammers.
And even a hammer with multiple heads.
There's also an ancient hammer from Egypt, which the museum claims is 5,000 years old.
And having access to this allowed the Egyptians to actually build the pyramids of Giza.
Let me stop you for a moment.
Yeah.
How do you know this is a hammer and not a rock?
So there's actually very little difference because original hammers are rocks, basically.
Our tour guide, Brandon Wilkes, knows a lot about hammers.
The reason he made this one was because nails used to be very expensive.
He loves to share that knowledge with the thousands of people who visit the Hammer Museum every year. He tells us the collection was started by a man named Dave Paul, who lived off the grid in Haines.
So he built his own cabin, he wanted to live away from it all, and so he started amassing a collection of hammers. And eventually it kind of grew to where his entire cabin was covered with hammers. And his wife said, that's very nice, but maybe do something with these or we're gonna have an issue.
So in 2002, the world's first Hammer Museum was born. Wilkes says hammers play an important part in history.
You would hammer it closed again.
Take, for example, the specialized ones that were used to open cigar boxes, but mostly disappeared after they were melted down for metal during World War II.
It's just gone and almost nobody knows about it, and you will probably never see one of these again after you leave this building.
But if you paid a visit here, you know it now. And the people we spoke with were glad they came.
Talk to my wife, she'd give you a different answer, but I think it's fantastic.
Out of a 10, I would definitely say an 8. I like it. I like the fact that there's just so many different kinds of hammers. Who would have thought?
What started as a collection of humble tools has grown into an attraction all its own.
I was waiting for a picture of MC Hammer, but it never showed up.
She said she was going to say something corny, and she meant it, right?
Absolutely.
All right, that's it for us here on Investigate TV Plus. I can't believe you did that. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Thanks for watching. On the next Investigate TV Plus, teens placing illegal wagers and losing big.
It was tough to lose that much money.
An in-depth look at student betting and the efforts to stop it.